Hello and welcome everybody to this new video. My name is Jan and today we're doing a deep dive to find out everything about the Nautitech 46 Open. We chartered this boat in Croatia and we made a full week of holidays on it, and we sailed it in different conditions, and I dig deep into pretty much every corner of the boat. So today we will find out if this might be the suitable boat for us. So the Nautitech 46 Open is available in two different versions, as a flybridge version, but also as the open version, which we have here. And the open version has the two helm stations at the aft of either hull. So special about this is that you have got a very open cockpit situation, but also more or less protected helm station. From the helm stations, you've got quite a good visibility at the sails, and also when climbing up, you have got very good grabs and very good handheld situations. So you can safely walk up to the front and have a good look all around. You've got from there good visibility all around to every direction. Also, to get onto the coach roof is very easy and simple, and I've never had a sail which was easier to handle than we had on this boat. So when climbing up on the coach roof, you have the sail at waist height, so you easily can operate it from there, and you can walk to the end of the boom to really handle everything and to check the sails and to fix if something goes wrong. So to get up is very safe. The space is huge on there, so also lots of space to put more solar panels, and also you see the all the line handling, how it is on the top. Also here again you see the helm station at the back. This boat was equipped with additional solar panels to keep the batteries topped up, and this is now the view from the helm station, from the main helm station on starboard side. So from here I expect to have actually a better visual situation than you have here, because the saloon and the superstructures are blocking quite a lot of the visibility. The question is it really necessary to have such a view? Because while traveling around the world, you will only have like maybe 5% of the time that you really sit at the helm stations. But once you're inside the saloon, you've got a very, very good view all around. So I must say I really did not like the helm situation very much, but in total, is it a deal breaker? I wouldn't think that this is, but there are more things up to this. So I expected the Nautitech 46 to be quite a performant boat, a really sailor's boat, and you have all the sail handling in the cockpit, and it's easy to go around, it's easy to handle everything. Every line goes here, so all the reefing lines, 3 reefing lines, main halyard. The general sheet is here. On the aft side, there is the main sheet and the traveler system. On the port side, you also have the 2 other reefs and what was the last name? Topping lift, right? And also on the starboard side, you have the reefing line for the Genoa. Also, when it's raining, you are very well protected under the huge roof. It gives a very good protection against all winds and all weathers. But still, the helm stations are still, you wouldn't say protected with this tiny roof. And if you want to do line handling, you still get wet. But also you've got the possibility to control the boat completely from inside. As you see here, you can manipulate the autopilot easily. You can change it to follow the wind direction as a wind pilot, or you can give the direct direction. You can have a good view on the sails, even from inside with the huge windows in the roof. This is a great feature in my eyes, unless it starts leaking, and it was leaking a lot in this boat. So it was almost raining inside. This is a minor problem in my eyes, easy to be fixed, but consider this boat is only 4 years old. So I would not expect that this happens at a boat which is so young at age. Also, the Genoa is well visible from the pantry, and this makes everything Yeah, a blast. You're standing there in the middle of the boat and you've got 360-degree visibility, unless you're at the helm station. So it's good for passage making, I would say, because you have good view from everywhere. And you can sit in every corner and still have a look outside. So even on a sofa, on a settee, or even outside in the cockpit, you just need to look around and you see every corner of the boat and what's going ahead in front. Quality issues here. I don't know why there are so many covers and still it's leaking everything. I wouldn't mind to have just a pure plastic roof on top, and also it adds weight to the whole boat. Here it was really raining also behind the nav station. Somewhere the water came out, and also this, I think the leakage came from the same window on top. So now let's have a look at the boat itself. The boat actually was handling quite good, and here's also the explanation why. The rudders are far aft. So with this position of the rudders, you have got quite a good control over the boat when tacking, and the tacking angles were good. The handling was, to me, surprisingly good for a catamaran. I was sailing lagoons before, and that was far worse. Also, you see the propeller. The sail drive is pretty much in the middle, but also quite far away from the rudders, so you don't really have the streaming effect of the propellers to the rudder. Here we have got an escape hatch. From inside, actually, it was blocked. The stairs were completely fixed above, so I couldn't take them off. Yeah, for our version, in case this would be our boat, we for sure would have this open. Also, here you see the drainage of the cockpit on top. Just a moment, you will see this again. And this also gives a plus for in case waves run into the aft, that you really have the capacity to drain huge amounts of water in a short time. Yes, the propellers are fixed propellers, which is fine for me for cruising. Or is it? Because the boat actually was not as fast as I expected. We sailed in different conditions in winds between, yeah, sometimes 5-6 knots, where we here five knots of wind, where we did about 2.5-3 knots of speed, and up to 19, almost, yeah, 19 knots of wind, where we peaked 9 knots of boat speed. And in the next videos, you will see, in the next parts, you will see more different situations that we had there. The sail handling, as I mentioned, was very good from this side. The tacking angle, we achieved round about 90 degrees real tacking angle, which was quite good in my eyes for a boat with a stub keel. Yeah, if you really would want a performance boat with good tacking capabilities, you would need dagger board or center boards anyway. But for stub keels, it was not too bad. Upwind performance, there were some other mono hulls sailing next to us, I think size around 45 feet, and they had similar speed and similar tacking behavior as we had. When going more downwind, we usually were a little bit faster, but not much. In most situations, we had about 50% of the wind speed, which I frankly expected to have a little bit more speed there. But also we were very careful when sailing. We reefed early, so some parts of the trip we had the first reef in the main and the first reef in the Genoa. So above 15 knots of wind, we usually put in the first reefs. The reefing table, we did not follow the reefing table. I didn't find it so soon when the wind picked up, so we were more careful in this situation. Yeah, but in general, the behavior was good. Speed could have been more. I felt like we have a most comfortable situation while on the water when we were about 6 knots, 7 knots. If it's more, the boat gets more noisy, and as you see, all the waves behind the boat, all the turbulences, that gave some noise to the boat. And I think good for this boat would be some more extension in the aft to avoid this turbulences. And I think the longer hull also would benefit to the boat speed. Yeah, but besides this, handling, taking was surprisingly good, and yeah, that was fine for me. Also later we took the boat under machine and we tested different situations. So here we have got one engine at to 2,300 RPM, and the speeds, what was it before? Was also okay. I think was four knots. But here the reeling situation and aft, I would want to have higher reeling when sailing on open seas. I didn't feel very secure standing there in the aft. That I felt I easily could fall over. Also, we experienced some bridge deck slapping, although we had not very high waves during this time. So I would expect once we do ocean crossing that we would have much more of bridge deck slapping. Here we tested two engines in operation with 2,000 RPM. We reached 7 knots of speed, boat speed. And I pushed down the throttle a little bit more to go to 2,300 RPM, which was the maximum speed, and which I will do now. And the boat reached a top speed of around about 8 knots. So 8 knots is the maximum speed that you can go with this boat under engine. And the engines were the 50 horse Volvo, yeah, with sail drive, which I think is sufficient, but yeah, it's a sailboat after all. Why is performance important for me? I want to avoid switching on the motors when sailing on the way. I want to sail as much as any possible. And with more performance-orientated boats, you will need the engine much less, and that's what I'm after. For the engine consumption, we fueled up the tank with 62 liters, and we had 16.4 hours of combined engine operation, which means we have 3.78 liters per hour consumption. And I think we had an average under engine of about 4 knots. So this is, yeah, nothing compared to the Neel. It's completely. The Neel was so much. The Neel 45 was much faster with less fuel consumption. So sailing performance-wise, oh, we were spoiled by the Neel very much. But for the space that you have on a boat, the Nautitech 46 Open was much more comfortable, better visibility when in the cockpit, when in a galley, when doing all this stuff, when you would the things that you would do in normal passage making. Here we have a situation which we'll see later. The life rafts would be positioned or were originally positioned in this location so that you can open them from inside and from outside. So above this there's a boat locker, there's a locker, and the locker can be accessed from the top as well as from the bottom. So if you would have life rafts, you could put them inside and either take them out from the bottom or from the top. Here you also see the waves below it. Yeah, not many waves, but we had much more waves in other situations. So we experienced bridge deck slapping, which I was also surprised to have in these conditions. But maybe, I don't know, really need to test on a longer range. So the galley situation, you've got lots of space, lots of cabinets. The woodwork for me was good. All the joinery was fine. Quality-wise, better in my experience from what I had from the lagoons and from the also from the Neel. Is it so important? Yeah, I don't think that it's necessary to have so much inside. You've got lots of cabinetry. Also here you've got the electric panel. Not every part can be opened. Light switches, bathroom. Actually, my 8-year-old daughter had problems to reach the light switch for the for the bathroom and also for the other parts, because here it's under the ceiling, you must touch the light. So for kids, this was not so easy. This boat was equipped with 4 bathrooms, or with four heads, and with a combined shower. And that situation is fine. Anyway, no one used the shower on board. We always took the shower on the aft. So when we left the water. Here we have got lots of cabinets, even actually the front cabinets, the front beds, the front cabins had more storage room than the aft cabins, but the aft cabins had much larger beds. Here you also have lots of storage below the beds. You can open everything. It's really massive. So this would be good to put lots of food for long ocean crossings, for pretty much everything you would do with a boat like this. This boat, additionally to the 4 double cabins, had 2 skipper cabins like we have here. Didn't have a side window, but some additional active ventilation on top, or no, passive ventilation. And so also here, this one was fine for our kids. Our kids love to stay in there in the front. The whole saloon, you've got very good visibility into 360 degrees, and as mentioned before, lots of storage. Still opening more and more drawers. Quality, as I mentioned, was fine for me. The joinery, well done. Still, there were some quality issues with the bulkheads, which we figured out when on the way it was made noise. Originally, I thought it was just some panels, but it seemed like there was a structural damage in the starboard aft bulkhead. For the work on board, every time when we left the marina or the anchorage, we had to open and close the wastewater tank. And here the valve is not so easy accessible, so you always really have to climb in to open the valves and to drain the wastewater. This is also not the best position. Also, you can't easily see what's the level of the wastewater tank that you know if it's really necessary to open the valves or to drain it when on the way, or how much space you still have. Another point that you saw here, just a second, need to close. One more point that we have here is a minor damage, but which we saw when it was open. So here you see some glue. It's an easy fix. I mean, it's a charter boat. It's used on really heavily by different crews. So this one is an easy fix to put it on, and so nothing too serious for me. So except the bulkhead that we saw, quality-wise, it was okay. Nothing serious. Although the seals were an issue, but we will see that in a moment. Also here, lots of space for navigation material, for everything that you need for the navigation. We've got a gas alarm here, and yeah, I mean it's okay for doing what we want to do. Here we saw some ceilings. They were already old and need to be renewed. I think that's an issue. As I mentioned, the boat is only 4 years old. Also here you see the seals broken, and as we saw when it was raining, really water came in, which was a very unpleasant surprise when cooking there and water really stripping onto your head. Yeah. But in general, I think this was okay. Also, one thing, when this hatch here was open to the aft cabins and was raining, the water was dripping to inside. So I think that would be an easy fix to build something on top that the water falls off before. So the maintenance section. So the hatches, or the hull, everything is more or less, yeah, it's easy accessible. Also, the engine compartment was easy accessible, and now everything was easy here. This boat has 4 bilge pumps, one in each hull in the living area, and 1 bilge pump in the motor section. Here we also have got some more storage for the fenders and also some spare anchor, water tanks. Yeah, pretty easy accessible, and so it's plenty of space for the fenders. So that's also right. Only the hatches were not easy to open. Here we open the section of the aft cabin, and here on the port side, on the port side, you have all the electronics, the batteries and inverters, and yeah, everything more or less easy accessible, unless guests are in that cabin. But that's what you get in most boats. Here, zooming in to have a little deeper view at the installation, and for me, yeah, it's okay. It's not too bad. In this case, things were also labeled well, so for me it's okay. This boat also was equipped with a heating system. The hot water tank is in the starboard side, which we will also see. Here we have got a better view on the cabling. This is a power switch, the main power switch. If you had an emergency, you really had to open the bed, which I do not like. I would prefer to have the emergency switch more easily available from outside. The fire extinguisher opening for the in case of an engine fire is here, below the bed as well, which is also not the best solution in my eyes. Right, a short view around into the other parts of the hull. Here we have got the diesel tank. Also everything, all the valves easy accessible, so this was also fine for me. The other side, same stuff, your water pump, and also all the hoses. Compared to the Neel, the Neel 45 had everything much easier accessible, except the wastewater tanks. You've got lots of openings here in different sections, so putting storage in here would be an issue in my eyes. Must be very careful what you put inside and to generate more storage. Here you have got the depth sensor with a blind plug. So also here, okay in my eyes, nothing to complain too much. One thing I read and I heard in other forums, that there was noise from the tank when moving from water tank or from the fuel tank. I cannot say anything about that. I actually was sleeping in the cockpit every night, which was very nice, was well protected, and that's a place where you would sleep when there are not too many mosquitoes and if it's not too cold. Here's the hot water tank, well sized, also everything okay in my eyes, so nothing to complain here. Here we have got the drain that you've seen from below with the huge holes. So if water gets into the cockpit, I don't think there's the big chance of water getting into the saloon. Here we have got the other part with the other hatch with the chain locker and also with the life raft. Anchor chain control, and I don't think this is the ideal position for the life raft. Yeah, but that's pretty much about the boat. The specifications are here. The boat of course 46 feet, production year 2018. On the left side is the yacht specification of the boat that we had. On the right side is some from the source from sailboatdata.com, which I copied in. The link I will put into the description that you can have a deeper look about that. The fuel and water tanks, each 600 liters, which is sufficient. Only the boat also would need a water maker when we are on the way. So that's it for now. If you have any other questions, write into the chat and I will be happy to answer and to discuss it with you. And please subscribe, because we will make more videos like this. And yeah, thanks a lot. Bye bye.